we have a treat. We have Barbara Bates coming to the mic. She's actually a breast cancer survivor. And when she comes up here, you'll see that she's an international fashion designer, and she looks nice. So let's give a hand to Barbara Bates.
Thank you so much for having me here this afternoon. I think this is one of the first events that I've had the pleasure of speaking at about the goodness of breast cancer, because there are some good things associated with breast cancer. And I guess since I made a statement at my church to let women know that they needed to be weary and very aware that breast cancer is very prevalent. I was actually diagnosed with breast cancer last year on June the 1st. And I just finished my last radiation on Friday. I finished chemo 2 months ago, so I got a really good hair on that. One of the hardest things I found about breast cancer so far is, do I keep it gray or do I color it back to the color I've been dying for 10 years? Someone asked me, did you know your hair was that gray? I was like, yeah, I knew it, but you didn't, because I've been dying for a long time. I actually felt a lump in my breast last May, and I didn't worry about it at all because I, in my mind, knew that breast cancer basically comes to white women. Breast cancer basically comes to women with big breasts, and breast cancer comes to women who have cancer in their family. And none of that was a part of my life. And I consider myself an intelligent woman, but I was wrong. Breast cancer comes because it comes. We're not really sure why. But you need to know some facts, and those facts are that there are none. It just shows up. And one of the reasons that I can speak very easily today is because I did detect it early enough, and so there was treatment. But when I got the diagnosis about the breast cancer, I really didn't have any, real facts about breast cancer. And so when the woman just kind of matter of factly said, yes, you do have breast cancer, I was at the doctor's office by myself. I didn't feel a need to take anybody because, once again, I knew that I was not at risk. But when she said you have breast cancer, then I just kind of saw myself whittling away in a bed, and I saw myself with a bald head, just all the things that I've seen on television over the years from years back. But that is not the experience. I'm here to tell you that I've had it all. That's definitely not the experience. Actually, I have to look at breast cancer almost as a blessing that came to me. And the reason I'll explain that to you is that, you know, sometimes when you get saved in church, we know that you get saved not for you, but so that you can save others. And I feel that, you know, if God willing that I received breast cancer, however it came, that my diagnosis was not for me, but it was so that I could come back and I could help others. And so immediately after I received my diagnosis, I went to my Facebook, and I had about 3,500 members on it, and in 3 hours after my diagnosis, I put on Facebook that I had just been diagnosed with breast cancer, and that if you had not had a mammogram within a year, that you needed to be afraid. I know that God doesn't give us that spirit, but you need to be afraid today because breast cancer is very prevalent. And even though more white women receive breast cancer, more black women die. And the reason that more of us die is because we don't know about going to get tested, or we know about it, but we don't do it. We have excuses like, oh, the mammogram hurts, so I don't want to go, or, oh, I really don't want to know. Well, you do want to know, because if you're diagnosed with breast cancer, the one thing that you'd like to hear is that it has not traveled to other parts of your body. Because when it travels through your lymph nodes, then you're susceptible to having cancer in other places. Technology has come so far, and with research, all the dollars that the American Cancer Society has received, the treatments are unbelievable. Through my treatments, I never once, was sick to the point that I threw up. I never really missed work because I didn't want to go. I missed work because I just didn't feel like being there. I worked every day, even through my chemo and my radiation. I kept encouraging other people because I knew that attitude was probably 50% of what was going to keep me going. Even though I was facing the unknown, I knew that I had to take something that somebody looked at as a negative and I had to turn it into a positive. And I've tried to live my life that way. As a teen mom, I was pregnant at the age of 15. I I now have a foundation where I give away prom dresses and I inspire young women to stay in school. I've taken everything that has come to me in my life in the negative sense, and I've tried to turn it into a positive, and for me that has kept me going. So even though I've had my struggles through life, I like to look at them as the beautiful struggles, because we're all going to struggle. If you live long enough, you'll have your chance, to be, at the top of the mountain. But as God is my witness, you'll also have a chance to be in the valley. But the great thing we know about a valley is that a valley is made up of 2 mountains. So you definitely have a chance to come back out and go back on a peak again. So through this devastating year, because 99 was one for me, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that 3 days before I received my diagnosis, my youngest son was incarcerated with a prison sentence of 19 years for conspiracy, or a mandatory minimum, and most people don't even know what a mandatory minimum is, not even educated people. I found myself saying, this is unbelievable. They could not be railroading young men and young women with prison sentences for conspiracy. Conspiracy is the intent to do something. And especially, yes, he had prior convictions that were very minor. They were non-offensive in terms of no guns, nothing like that. But when you have 2 prior offenses, you can be looking at a life sentence for stealing 3 times. We have someone in prison right now with a life sentence because they had 2 prior stealing convictions and a third of a piece for pizza. These things are ridiculous in society. So I went to Washington after my first chemo, and I found myself rallying for young people, the lost ones that are incarcerated. And I know everybody in this room is touched by somebody who's incarcerated. If it's not your personal family member, it's a friend of a member. A lot of these people, you say, well, if somebody does something wrong, they need to be there, but you need to know some of the facts behind young men and women that are sitting in prison with prison sentences that don't fit the crime. I'm not saying that anybody's innocent, I'm saying that the times don't fit the crime. Right. So I pulled up that gavel, and I'm going to grow a natural and go down to City Hall and burn my bra for people to come home that are incarcerated too long. And then in doing that, I find myself fighting breast cancer. So if God had taken me someplace and said, well, Barbara, this is the life, you can choose these here, and this one, here's the one you're going to get in 99, you're going to lose your son, for a 19-year prison sentence, you'll have to fight to get him home early, but you can do it. And you're going to get diagnosed with breast cancer, but if you follow my lead, you'll work it out and say, I want to be somebody else, that's not the road I want. Because June 1st, I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this, I'm not going to make it, this is too much pressure on me, I can't do it.